Are the Texans Super Bowl contenders, Max?
Top to bottom, I would say no, but they are a wild card as Super Bowl contenders because of that man, Deshaun Watson. I said it in college. It's the reason I picked Clemson in that rematch with Alabama. I thought he was the best player on the field the first time around. He was more experienced. He could get it done. First couple of years of his career in the books, he showed promise. He's been excellent at times. He has that special something in crunch time. Some guys have it across the board in sports. He's one of them. He's clutch. It exists, and he is that. And because of Deshaun Watson, I can't count them out, but I don't believe in this roster top to bottom like I believe in some others.
Not sold on them at all because Bill O'Brien and his coaching staff, I'm not sold on them. I'm not sold on the Houston Texans defense with the absence first of Jadeveon Clowney and now of J.J. Watt. Deshaun Watson is the truth and a half, but he's not enough in the AFC this year. I don't believe it.
Yeah, could you imagine trading up for Trubisky, trading up for him? Because Deshaun Watson's available, you can get him and some others. You go, nah, I'd rather have Trubisky.
Tired of talking about just Trubisky, though. Nagy needs to correct some things as well. You taking a knee with a timeout? What the hell are you thinking? You had no intentions of running or passing.
We're going to get into that. But by the way, J.J. Watt finishing on the IR 3 of the last 4 years. Well, that is rough.
J.J. Watt, not that his peak was as good as any defensive player ever, but he's been banged up recently.
These are freak accidents. Like if it was the knee, an Achilles tear, banged up, it doesn't matter. It's the upper body and it's freak. It can happen.
That's why Reggie White was such a freak. Defensive players don't last like that at that position.
Be concerned when it's their legs. When it's the upper body, that can happen to anybody at any moment.
All right, next one up here. Kyle Allen took his first L of the season after the Panthers get stomped by the Niners. Cam could return next Sunday against the Titans. Stephen A., tell me this. How should Carolina handle their quarterback situation now moving forward?
Well, my attitude was initially, as long as this guy is winning, you leave him in the game. But when you lose like that, when you get blitzed and bombarded and annihilated the way San Francisco did to Kyle Allen yesterday, you brought him back down to earth. Now you can make the move to going back to Cam. My position was you don't do that when everything's flowing. Even if you had lost, but he was flowing, that would be different. But he was brought back down to earth yesterday. Now you can sit up there and contemplate bringing Cam back in the mix.
Kyle Allen's fine. Cam Newton's a special player. I can't believe this really got to be a thing. The only issue with me is Cam Newton healthy. Is he really healthy? Does he have his wheels? Does he have his shoulder? Is he healthy? If Cam Newton is like, yup, check, it's not just that he can get back on the field, but he can make the throws that he's capable of making. I absolutely put Cam Newton back on the field. I don't hesitate. The caveat being if they were undefeated in his absence, you got to ride the hot hand. That's no longer the case. All bets are off Cam's back.
One of the things that you could make a case in defense of Kyle Allen from yesterday's blowout loss to San Francisco is that Kyle Shanahan put on a show in terms of his play calling, his misdirection that he was throwing, his familiarity with being an offensive coordinator formerly in Atlanta, being familiar with what Ron Rivera likes to do, and just completely thwarting everything that Ron Rivera tried to throw in his direction. You got to pay attention to that and recognize the fact that Kyle Shanahan, yesterday was not a good moment for Ron Rivera because Ron Rivera is a coach that we all respect. Obviously, he's been in Carolina for years. But Kyle Shanahan took him to school yesterday. That was not a good day for Ron Rivera, but that was about it.
People are forgetting Cam finally has a running back. Like the whole thing was he was his own best running back. He has an elite running back who can catch passes. Get him in there, and he'll look better than he did in the beginning of last season, which is good as he's ever looked. If Cam's healthy, he's in.
On to the next one. The Bears lost a heartbreaker after yet another missed field goal in the closing seconds. But the story was the play before when Mitch Trubisky took a knee instead of trying to get a closer look at the game-winning kick. Matt Nagy not in the mood to discuss it. Should Nagy be on the hot seat?
No, I don't think so. I thought he showed a lot of promise last year. Ryan Pace, the GM, should be on the hot seat. Look, and it's time that, we have to say this out loud. Why, think of who dropped in that draft when they traded up for Trubisky. And I understand the human brain typecast. It's what we do. So a guy who reminds us of things we've seen in the past, we're likely to believe in more. Guys, it's time to say it. How often has a black quarterback's draft stock increased or a team traded up to grab that guy? How often has the black quarterback's draft stock fallen compared to the white quarterback? It's consistent. And that means, to me, to my mind, that people are relying on stuff that fans and media can rely on. But if you're doing your due diligence, and if it was one isolated incident, that's fine. But it seems to me consistent throughout even recent NFL history. Lamar Jackson goes to the last pick of the first round. Deshaun Watson falls. Patrick Mahomes. And then who's rising? If you, as a talent evaluator, looked at Mitchell Trubisky and said, with Mahomes and Watson available, you know what we're going to do? We're going to trade up for that guy. That should put you on the hot seat because Trubisky is not working out. Well,
I'm not going to argue with that unless we discover that Matt Nagy wanted Mitchell Trubisky. Then that's a different discussion. Also, we have to pay attention to this fact. You spent the entire offseason trying to find a field goal kicker, and Piñeiro's the guy you found. How's that working out for you? And so we have to look at it from that perspective. We also have to look at it from the perspective that even if you don't have confidence in your quarterback, you can't be so flagrant with it like he was yesterday. Think about his quote here. Every yard counts. If they were 5 to 10 yards closer, he doesn't miss that. That field goal doesn't go wide left before it goes through the goalpost. And your exact quote was, we had no intentions of throwing nor running the football. But really, it's like, you're the head coach. You know a little bit, a thing or two about offense. You're 15-8 as a coach. Oh. Come on now, figure it out.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.